Hello, everyone. It's Deb Wyman here. I hope everybody is doing as well as can be expected with this situation that we have with the coronavirus. Hopefully, you're all still healthy. Today, I'm going to go over setting up assignments in Moodle. And I was going to do a PowerPoint and then do this part where we're actually doing it, but then I thought it might be just easier to just get into it and do it than trying to think about what I'm saying in the PowerPoint and then coming over here and doing it. So what we're going to do, first of all, is open your summer shell. This is a summer shell. So courses start on May 18th and they end in July. But this first week is May 24th, May 18th to the 24th. So what we want to do to add an assignment is click on this week, make sure that it's showing up over here, which it is, and you can tell by just clicking wherever you want. So we're going to scroll down to where it says create learning activity. Click on that. Then where it says assignment, we're going to click on that. And we're going to add a new assignment. And I'm going to close this because I don't want that there. But so we're going to say assignment 1 example, and we will say description 1 example. And we don't want to display this on course page because if you did that, it would show up on your home page and you don't want that. So we're going to say the due date is going to be May 25th. And I'm just picking any day. You can pick whatever day you want. And the time here is military time. So if you want this due at the end of the day, you have to say 23:59. If this area was grayed out, all you have to do is check the enable box. And we're not going to check one of these right now. We're going to go over here and look at some of these things. So we do want this to show on the course page, which will show on the week that the students are doing this assignment. And you can click here, you can hide it from students, you can make available but not shown on the course page, but you want it to show on the course page. And then we're going to look at every one of these down arrows and make changes based on the assignment and what we want our students to do. So we're going to click on availability. And we want this to be available from May 18th. So whatever day that is for you. If you wanted to just have them have 2 days to do it, you would change that date. So whatever you choose as the faculty member. And because you want it to be open all day, you're going to say 1 a.m. The cutoff date, you check and enable here, and this is going to be the same thing as your due date. And this would mean that the students won't see it after the due date. So if you want students to be able to see it but not actually work on it, they can see it, but they're not going to be able to do anything with it other than read it and see what they missed. Okay, so we have that. Then remind me to grade. So you may want to give yourself a day or two and then say, okay, by May 26th, I want to grade these. Again, you're going to say 1 o'clock in the morning. Always show the description, yes. So let's close this, and then we click on to submission types. So one thing that I wanted to point out was, you see all these question marks, right? Well, all of these just mean that they give little definitions of what this means, online text, for example. So if enabled, students are able to type rich text directly into an editor field for their submission. So that would be sort of like a discussion board or something like that. File submissions, this would be students are able to upload 1 or more types of files, and we're going to get to that in a few minutes. If you wanted to, say it was a discussion board and you wanted to limit the amount of words that the students could type, you would put that in here. And the maximum number of uploads and the maximum submission size, these, you can change this, but this really means that if you're going to give students extra times to submit, it's there up to 20. You can change it if you want to, but if you leave it at 20, it won't give them 20 options. It's up to you to say, yes, you can or not. And you'll see that there's some limitations later on. So the maximum size, this size is set by the administration, so we're going to keep that there. And then accepted files. So we click on this choose button, and then we see all the files that students could possibly upload. There's a lot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say document files only, because that's the kind of work that I have students doing. So I could do a PDF and a Word doc X and a Word doc. And those are the only ones that I want to accept. So I'm going to go down here, make sure that whatever you choose, you are going down all the way and saving changes. And then it shows up here. This tells me this is what I chose, and this is what the students are going to see, that they can submit those types of files. So let's close that. Then we look at feedback types. So feedback type, so what's a feedback comment? So if enabled, the marker can leave feedback comments for each submission. So if you want to do that, check that. Annotate a PDF. You can create annotated PDF files when marking assignment submissions, and you can do whatever you need to do. The feedback, the teacher will be able to download and upload a worksheet with student grades when they're marking the assignments, and then offline grading if you wanted to do that. I guess that was offline grading. And then the feedback files, the teacher can give feedback when marking assignment submissions, and they can be marked up however you wanted to do it. Documents with comments or spoken audio feedback. So if you check that, you could do that. Comment in line, if you wanted to say, give comments directly onto a discussion board, you would say yes there. Okay, so we're going to close that one. Then we're going to look at submission settings. So do you require the students to click the submit button? Yes. Do you require students to accept the submission statement? Yes. Do you want attempts reopened manually? This is for the faculty only. So when you look at this, manually means the submission can be reopened by a teacher. So you probably want to have that be manually. Never would mean that nobody could reopen it, and automatically until you hit the pass grade, that's another option where you can reopen as much as you want. Okay, then we go to maximum attempts. You can have unlimited up to whatever you want. I'm just going to say 1. And we're going to close that. Then we're going to say group submission settings. I don't have groups, but if you did, you would mark this yes. And there are ways to set up groups in your gradebook, and you'll be learning more about that in the gradebook information video. Notifications, how do you want to be notified? Notify graders about submissions. So if you click on this, if enabled, the teacher receives a message whenever a student submits an assignment, early, on time, or late. Message methods are configurable, which is also, I believe, in the gradebook. Notify graders about late submissions. You may want to do that, you may not. So if this is enabled, the teacher receives a message whenever a student submits an assignment late. Message methods are configurable, again, in the gradebook. And then default setting to notify the student, so the checkbox on the grading form. So we want to do the yes, and this one is blanked out, so if this was no, then you could say yes here. So sometimes you just have to play around and see what you like the best. Safe assign, if it's a report that you want to have safe assign, you would check yes. Allow the students to view the originality report, yes. And exclude submissions from institutional global reference database. That just means that if you want to allow your students to resubmit their papers more than once to safe assign, you would leave this off. And then students could submit as many times as you wanted them to. Then we're going to go to the grade, and you're going to have a point system. These are the choices: none, scale, and point, and then whatever your maximum grade is. We want simple direct grading. This is the most commonly used one, but you'll learn more methods in the gradebook video. And then if you want a category, you want to click on assignment. You set these up in your gradebook, whatever categories you have. The grade to pass, you do not have to put that in there, but if you wanted to, you could. Blind marking, do you want to know who your students are when you're grading, or do you want to grade them all just based on their work and not know their names? If you say no, then you're going to see the names. If you say yes, you won't see the name. Hide grade or identity from students. This would be mostly if you had a teaching assistant. Do we wish or what? But we don't. We usually grade our own work, so we're going to leave this at no. And use marking workflow. This would also be a teaching assistant. So if, say for example, you did have a teaching assistant and you wanted the teaching assistant to grade the work, but you wanted to see it before it went out to students, so you would check this as yes. So let's close grade. And then common module settings. You can use an ID number for this assignment. And if you do that, then you would easily be able to go back to it and review it or move it to another section if you wanted to. And then I have no groups, but if you had groups, then you would choose whatever you wanted, separate groups or visible groups. And then add grouping access restrictions. This would be set up in your gradebook. And you can put additional files in here if you wanted to. Restrict access. We don't want to restrict access, but you could if you wanted to. You could have require students to complete or not complete another activity before they did this one, the date, the grade, user profile, release code, or a restriction set that you would add. So you would just click on each of these and put it in, whatever it is, okay? But we're not going to do that here today. And then activity completion, complete tracking. Students can manually mark the activity as completed or do not indicate activity completion or show activity when conditions are met. So you really want to show activity as completed when conditions are met, which means that the students have gone in, they've looked at it, they've read it, and then they're doing their work. So students must view the activity to complete it. They're not just going to be able to go in there and pick off of a menu. Require a grade. Students must receive a grade to complete the activity, and student must submit to this activity to complete it, yes. And then if you wanted to, you could put your due date here, which again would be the 25th of May at 23:59. And then you're going to close that. And then you're going to go back to save and display. So this is going to tell you that you have your assignment here, whatever it is, the information would show up here. It has your description, and then it tells you how many submitted, view all your submissions, which would go into the grade book. And then if you want to just go back to your week, click on your week, oops, click on your May 18th week, scroll down, and you see your assignment here. So hopefully this is helpful to you, the due date, and I don't know what else to tell you about it other than working with it is really going to be the key, and reading those question marks with the little bit of information. And then of course, in the training, you have a lot more information about setting up assignments. So I hope this was helpful, and I'm looking forward to the COVID-19 being over and getting back to work, and I hope you are too. So take care, and I will hope to see you soon.